In this module, I want to briefly go over the syllabus, talk about the purpose and structure of the course, talk about how assessment is going to be done, and then I'll let you go. So as you can see at the top of the syllabus here, we have my name, Dr. Charles Wallace, my email address, charles.wallace@csuob.edu, my Zoom office hours of Wednesday and Thursday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., the link to my Zoom office hours, and a link to the YouTube page that I created for the 160 course, and that I'm populating slowly but surely with updated versions of all the various lectures. Let's start by talking a little bit about the course purpose, overview, and learning objectives. Now, ethics is a specialty within philosophy, and what it tries to do is it tries to understand, to evaluate, to systematize, and to provide justification for a system of ethical norms. And that justification is going to be based upon answers to 4 perennial questions. One question is, are there universal normative ethical principles that both prescribe behavior and inform our moral or ethical judgments? The second question is why or how or should such principles constrain our actions? The third question is how might we come to know these ethical principles if they exist? And the fourth and final question is what specifically are those ethical principles? What principles ought we to adopt to prescribe our behavior and inform our judgments? Now, this class is going to look at important answers to these philosophical questions. Answers that have been given by historical as well as contemporary thinkers, by people in philosophy as well as in sociology and psychology. It also examines the background assumptions and methodology behind the views of these thinkers and behind the workings of contemporary philosophy in general. It's also going to examine, importantly, the impact, both for individuals and for society, of the various theoretical positions on the prohibition or acceptability of various real-world actions and choices. So what should students look to get out of this? What do I hope students will get out of this course? Well, I hope that students who conscientiously apply themselves to the class can expect a bunch of different kinds of benefits. Hopefully they'll get a better understanding of their own ethical views, in part because they'll be looking at situations that they probably haven't encountered before. Hopefully they'll gain appreciation for both the intellectual merits and the limitations of their own views as well. They'll get a sense of the place of their views and the views of other people in the context of the development of ethical theories within Western civilization. They'll get a sense of the impact upon themselves and upon others of their ethical views. And they'll get this in relationship to a number of contemporary real-world issues. And this hopefully will give students an increased sophistication in their ethical views and an increased ability to reason and argue effectively and to responsibly think and act in the context of ethical situations. We'll focus primarily on 3 different aspects of ethics. We'll look at theories and principles. We'll talk about methodology, how to go about thinking about ethical problems, discovering ethical principles, and applying those ethical principles, and how to constructively engage with people that you may or may not agree with. And finally, we'll look at how to apply these principles to real-world situations, oftentimes quite difficult real-world situations. I encourage students to try not to take differences of opinion or criticisms of views that you might agree with personally. It can be sometimes quite difficult not to take offense, and I'm sure perhaps I or one of the various authors that we look at will say things that you disagree with or that you feel are critical of views that you happen to have. But try not to take it personally. Try to look at it as a constructive engagement. I'm certainly not here to proselytize a particular ethical view. I'm here to help you think about ethics and understand it. Try to be open-minded. Oftentimes students will come in and they'll want to justify all the things that they believed going into the class, rather than taking the class as a chance to look at how they justify what they believe and why other people may or may not agree with them. Finally, try to use this class as a tool for helping you to examine and possibly refine your own ethical perspective and to better understand what you can ask of other people and what other people can reasonably ask of you. Try to come up with a systematic, coherent, and comprehensive view, because in my experience, such views can be very beneficial to you when you're navigating your way through life. The syllabus lists the exact titles of the 2 books that we'll be drawing primarily from during the term. James and Stuart Rachel's The Right Thing to Do, and their Elements of Moral Philosophy. You don't necessarily have to get the editions specified here, but make sure that the editions that you get have all of the chapters or articles that we're going to cover in the class. Finally, let's turn our attention to the assessment plan. Here's how I'm going to determine grades. There are 12 Canvas quizzes, approximately on average 2 per week. And those quizzes will count 60% of your overall grade. There'll be 5 weekly short answer assignments, and together those assignments will account for 40% of your grade. Quizzes begin from the very first week and run to the very last week. Our weekly short assignments don't start until the second week, and then you'll have one every week for the rest of the class. You should try and complete reading assignments and lectures, and in fact, try to complete the extra credit practice quizzes before taking the quizzes or writing your short answers. Now, I'm basing 40% of your grade on those 5 weekly writing assignments. They'll start on week 2, and you'll have 1 a week until the last week, week 6. I'll provide the short answer question in the announcement posted 8 a.m. on Sunday, the week that short answer is due. Answers should be submitted by uploading them to Canvas by 11:59 on the following Saturday. Answers are going to be graded on accuracy and clarity. I'll provide comments on the content as well as on writing and grammar. Weekly quizzes are going to constitute 60% of your grade. There'll be 12 weekly quizzes, and so that 60% will be broken into 5% per quiz. Quizzes again will be posted Sundays at 8 a.m. They'll cover the material from specific readings and lectures. They'll use true, false, multiple choice, and multiple select questions. Each quiz question will include detailed feedback that you can access upon submission of the quiz. And that goes for both the assigned quizzes and the optional extra credit quizzes. You have to complete all quiz questions to get that detailed feedback, which you can access once you've completed and submitted the quiz. There will be an optional extra credit pretest for each quiz, and there'll be an optional extra credit midterm and an optional extra credit final. The weekly pretests get applied to your quiz scores. The midterm and the final, those extra credit points will get applied to your short answer questions. Because there's all this potential for extra credit, grades are going to be assigned on a straightforward, uncurved basis. A's are 100 to 90%, B's are 89 to 80%, C's 79 to 70%, and so on. Now you can communicate to me by coming to my Zoom office hours or by sending me an email, and I encourage you to do so. Like the text, the lectures, and the Canvas site, I consider myself to be a resource for students. I encourage you to work with me to help you realize your goals for this course, and I hope that the course proves valuable and interesting to you. Have a great first week.